Alright, welcome back to another video of my Unreal Action RPG system. Today I'm gonna show you another way of doing the attack animations and applying damage and things like that, because so far I have been doing most things through reliable multicasts, and I got some questions about that, so I just wanted to quickly explain the difference and why I do that, and show you another way to do it, basically, because basically reliable multicasts are a bit more performance heavy than other solutions, but they also work very well. That's why they are called reliable. So it might be an issue performance-wise if you are doing like the next battle royale with 50, 100 players connected at the same time. Then I would not use reliable multicasts, at least not in all occasions. I would definitely still use it for some things, but you could always do unreliable multicasts, and you should always also use more rep notifiers. So basically what the reliable multicast does is that it sends the information to all clients, even if it's not net relevant. So for instance, if a client is on the other side of a map and you destroy and an explosion happens, then the client on the other side of the map doesn't need to know about that explosion. So then you don't need to do a reliable multicast in that case. It's fine with an unreliable multicast. But if that explosion also destroys a house, then you have a problem, because if you're doing an unreliable multicast, then that client that is on this other side of the map won't know that the house got destroyed, and then when that other client gets to the location, the house will still be there, since that client doesn't know it's destroyed. That's what rep notifiers are for. So rep notifiers will update the client when it gets close enough for it to be network relevant. So it will update the destroyed house once the player gets close to it. Hope that makes sense. So you should definitely swap it up with rep notifiers, and I have another video, I'll link it in the description, of how to do rep notifiers. Also rep notifiers are really good for when you have clients connecting at runtime, because then like you need to update the clients when they connect on what has already happened on the map while they weren't connected. And also, but what we're going to focus on now is the animation blueprint. So I will show you ways to do animations from the animation blueprint, because that's also a little bit better performance-wise. It doesn't look as nice. That's the difference. The really nice thing with animation montages is that you get perfect animation, basically. But what we can do now is that we can actually blend our animations, so we can attack and walk at the same time and things like that as well. But yeah, sorry for that rant. I will get right into it. So let me show you. What I have here is basically a normal character. I just attached a sword to the hand. It's just a random sword that came with some package that I'm using. So basically it's just a sword mesh. You can see the hand. It's attached to the right hand right. And this is the, so just make it as child and then rotate it so it looks nice. So there it is. So that's basically it for the basic character. You're gonna need to create a couple of variables. Firstly, you are gonna need to create two of them, one called isAttacking and one called can cause damage. We're gonna set both of them to replicated. So that's also one thing when we're not using multicasts all the time. We need to replicate a lot more of the variables. So set both of them to replicated, and then we will be focusing on the is attacking one for now. So what you want to do is, first we're gonna be doing the attack. So you need to create two events, one called client attack and one called server attack. Set the client one to run on owning client and the server one to run on owning or run on server. As I said before, I'm still doing reliable on both of them. You just have to try it out. Depends on how big your map is and how many clients you will be using and things like that. So two custom events, and then I want to call the custom events from my left mouse button, which is the attack button that we're gonna use. We did this is attacking. So we only want to do, if you made this variable, so we only want to be able to attack if we aren't already attacking. So start by making a branch, and from the false, call the client attack, which is the function that we just made, the custom event. And from the client attack, call the server attack. And then on the server attack, you want to set the bool, which is attacking, the is attacking bool. You don't have to worry about this one for now. I'll show you that later. But for now, just focus on the is attacking. So we set is attacking, and then we add a delay, and after that delay, we set is attacking to false. This delay is basically gonna be the length of the attack animation that we're doing. So what's happening now is that I am attacking, and when I'm doing this, it's set to true and false all the time. So we are changing this variable. And this variable is what's going to be driving our animation. So it's going to be driving our attack animation. And for it to drive our attack animation, we need to go into our blueprint, animation blueprint, and we need to switch some stuff here up. The first thing that you need to do is you need to create an is attacking variable, or actually you don't need to create that variable. You can just promote it. So this is almost the basic animation blueprint from the third-person template, but what I did is I dragged from the try get pawn owner, I dragged out and I cast it to my third-person character, which is my starting character, and I grab my is attacking from it, get is attacking, and then I just promoted this to a variable, promote to variable, and I just named it the same thing to avoid confusion. Probably not best practice, but that's what I usually do. You can ignore this for now. The rolling stuff is from another tutorial. So you want to set attacking. So basically when we grab is attacking from here, it's this variable here that we are grabbing. Perfect. So now we are updating the variable is attacking on our animation blueprint depending on what it is here. So now go into your state machine by double-clicking the animation graph and the default state machine, and you should have something that looks like this. Once again, this is from another tutorial, the rolling stuff. So just add another state. Nope, not conduit. Add state and call it attacking, which is this one that I have here. And we're going to transition to that state when we are attacking, and we're going to transition away from that state when we are not attacking. So that's what's happening with this. So when here we are transitioning to the attack animation, and after the delay we set it to false, which means that we're going to transition back. Makes sense? Hopefully. And what I did for the animation here is I used a blend. So we are going to be blending because I want to be able to move while I attack for this tutorial. Obviously you don't have to do that. If you do want it more Dark Souls, there are ways to do that. I'll probably go through some things with that at the end of the video, but for now let's just focus to how to do the blending and stuff like that. So just grab an attack animation, and at the start it's gonna look something like this, and you're gonna be having your attack animation here. So this is just an animation I dragged in, which looks like this. So that's an attack animation. And then you want to go into your normal idle run state, your normal movement state, and you want to copy your normal movement run, and you want to paste it in, and then you want to blend it with layer blend by bone. So just layered blend per bone. You want to select it. You want to add an array element, and then the array element should be spine underscore 01. This name is important that it gets correct. It might be different for different skeletons, so just to make sure, go into your skeleton. Here it is. Select the spine. I want to blend my animations here because the attack movement should be above this and the movement of the character should be below this. You could also use spine 2. That should probably be decent as well. Spine 3 is probably a bit too high, but spine 1 is this blend. It might, as I said, this is called spine 01 in the normal Unreal mannequin, but you might be using a different skeleton, so then obviously you choose the bone that you want. So yeah, and the movement is the base pose, and the attack animation is the blend pose. So as you can see, it's working fine. And this that I showed you here is basically just if you want to be able to change the attack at runtime, because now this is basically the only attack I can do, and of course you could do different states for all the attacks, but that's just gonna be super annoying. So it's a lot easier to actually make a variable of the attack animation itself. So click on your attack, expose it, then you have it here, and just promote it to a variable, which gets you this, and just name it attack animation. So now we can switch. We can just set this variable to different attack animations whenever we want to, and it will switch out the attack here. So that's basically it for the attacking animation. As you can see, it looks fine. Obviously, you can do lots of stuff to polish this. You have to experiment with your delay and everything like that. But I think this is fine for a tutorial. It's not working. It's not super nice to look at, and it's probably not gameplay worthy, but it's something. Basically, I just want to show you how it works. So yeah. What's the next step? We are attacking, so that's good. What do we want to do now? And as I said, yeah, I might as well show you how I swapped that, how to swap the animation if you would like to. So as you can see, I got a reference to my animation blueprint here. How I did that is on the begin play. I just grab my mesh, get anim instance. Yep, get anim instance is this one. And then from that one, I cast to my third person animation blueprint, which is this one. And then I promote it to a variable. So now I have a reference, call it animation blueprint. So now I have a reference to my animation blueprint as a variable. So whenever I want to switch the animation, I can just go whenever I want to switch the animation, I can just grab my reference to the animation blueprint and set attack animation. And then from here, just decide which attack animation I want to set it to. So there are tons of ways you could do that, either when you switch weapon or whenever. Make sure that you always do it on the server though, otherwise it's not gonna work. And also, yeah, that's about it. So that's pretty easy. So what I want to show you now is I want to show you how to quickly set up a test AI. So it's not even an AI, it's just an actor. I called it test dummy, but as you can see, we can apply damage to it. So what I did here is you can obviously use a pawn. You might even have some AI in your game already. It's fine, whatever. What I did was I just made a new actor. Pawn is probably better, but I made a new actor, just added a static mesh. It's just a cylinder with a random texture, a capsule component, and a health bar. And now you're like, what is a health bar? You should probably know what it is. So for your master enemy or your dummy or whatever you're testing with, you need two variables. You need one called max HP and current HP. HP stands for hit points. You should know that, otherwise I don't know why you're even watching this video, and you're not a true gamer. Make sure they are both replicated. Otherwise it won't work, because you want to replicate the hit points on the action bar, on the health bar. So you won't have this one. So if you're confused now as why you can't find this one, is because you don't have it. So I'm going to show it to you. What you need to do is basically you need to right click, user interface, widget blueprint, name it health bar or whatever, open it up, and then you need to add a progress bar. Yeah. Something like that. Decide the size, something like that is fine. You can style it here with background color and stuff like that. I'm just gonna use the default, which is blue. I'm just gonna open my real health bar that I already have here. So this is my widget blueprint. And once you set this one up, go into your graph, create a new variable for it called owner, and set it to your AI class, your master AI or your dummy or whatever. The reason you want to do that is because you want to be able to, as I said, in our mannequin, in our dummy, we did these two variables, max HP and current HP. So from the owner, you grab current HP divided by max HP. I'm sorry. To get to that function, you actually need to go select your progress bar and go to percentage progress, right there, and type create binding. When you create the binding, you will create this function called getPercent, and that's where you do this. So now it will be bound to that percentage. We also need to specify the owner, and to do that, just go back into your target dummy and on the begin play. So what you do is you go to add component, widget, you add a widget, name it to health bar or whatever you want to name it to, and then you grab it, from it get user widget object, and then you cast user widget object to cast to AI HP. You also need to set the widget class to AI HP. And if you're confused about the name, that's just what I named my health bar. You can just, you're gonna cast it to what you named your health bar widget when you created it. And then from there we set the owner. So on the begin play, we're gonna set the owner of this one, and then we're gonna grab in the graph, in the get percent. So now you have a reference. You have set this one up. Perfect. And if I didn't mention it, make sure it's green. So that's how you set up the health bar. Also on the viewport, you can grab this one. If you want to switch it up, you can maybe put it a bit higher if you want to. As you can see, it's a lot higher now. I want mine there, so that's fine. Perfect. And the last thing we want to do is we want to be able to apply damage. So for that we need two more custom events. Applying damage is what I do here. So we have our weapon mesh. Just select your weapon mesh. From your weapon mesh, select on component begin overlap. So whenever this weapon mesh that we are using are colliding with something else, just check if it's the target dummy or your master enemy or your AI or whatever you call it. If the cast is successful, we check if we can cause damage. And now you're wondering, this is the variable I told you of at the start. If you didn't create it then, create it now. Can cause damage, set it to replicated. And then you want to create these ones. Skip this for now. Let's move this to the side. So this is what we're gonna create now, which is this. Just create two custom events, one called client enable damage, one called server enable damage. From the client enable damage, call the server enable damage. On the server enable damage, set can cause damage to whatever you want to on this function. So just drag it like that and then just drag it into that function. And now you're wondering, like, where do I call this? When do I know? How do I know when to enable damage and not? Because if we don't enable damage, we're not going to be able to do damage because of this branch here that you should also create. And that is decided on the animation blueprint. So if you go to your attack animation, I'm just going to see which one I used. We are going to be using attack notifiers again, like in my other videos. So right click, add notify, new notify, and just name it to whatever you want to. I named mine to enable and disable damage. Go back into your event graph and right click and enable damage. Since it is, oops, yeah, I already have it here. So find this function. You should have it now. Obviously it's going to be named enable damage for me because that's what I named it here. It's the same thing. And what I didn't go into before is that when I do this cast, I start by setting the by promoting this cast to a variable, just so that I always have a reference to the player. And here I grab the reference to the player. From the reference I call the client enable damage, and on the enable damage I set it to true, and on the disable damage I set it to false. So this function here is this function that we just set up. So perfect. So that means that we are only gonna be able to do damage between this point. Not here, not here, here. Yeah, perfect. Now we actually need to do the damage as well. So if we can cause damage, if it's true, you do server apply damage, which is two other custom events, one called client apply damage and one called server apply damage. So on the client apply damage we call the server apply damage, and on the server apply damage we want to set the current HP to whatever the current HP is minus your damage amount. For me it's gonna be minus 10 now, just for testing purposes. And then you need a target for this variable, which is fed into here. So the target is obviously gonna be the actor component that we are overlapping with. So just grab the current HP of the overlapped component and plug it into this one, which throws it here, which means that now we got the current HP. And for the target, it's just going to be the same, so the target is also going to be the same. So now we can set the current HP here. Perfect, super easy. Let's try it out. Client, client, client 1 or client 2. Client 1 joins the fray. We see the attacks, and we also see that we apply damage. And not a single multicast was used. For the ones who are complaining about that. No, not complaining. It's completely legitimate questions. As I said, this is a performance-wise better way to do it. So if you are worried about performance, this is probably how you should do it. Also, as you see, it doesn't look as clean. So I'm just quickly gonna show you how you could actually do this. If you, as I said, I'm using animation montages on the other videos, and the reason for that is because it looks nicer. So let me show you how you can fake an animation montage. So without actually using the montage. So what we can do is you can actually, let's just find quickly, let me just pause and find a suitable animation. 1 second. So I'm back. So basically I just quickly copied over some stuff from my other game. There are two things we want to be able to do. We want to be able to move the character when we're doing the animation. I mean, not by actually moving our legs with the movement input, but as in root, we want to fake the root motion by basically just applying either force to the character or moving the character to a certain point. That's basically what we want to be able to do. I'm going to show you an easy way of doing that. And also, if we want to fake true root motion, then we also want to disable the input. We want to disable like the movement input, so we can't control our character while we're doing the animation. So to do the to move the character, basically what we want to do is create a function, two functions, one more, one attack move client, probably client attack move, and not multicast. This is gonna be server attack move. Run on server, run on client. From this server, you want to do a move component to, and then we want to be able to, so just drag your component, your target relative location and target relative rotation to the function, feed it through the function through the client again. Perfect. Then you want to go into your animation. I got a new animation. This one looks cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our character during this animation. So for the starters, we are going to do a add notify skill. I'm going to do enable damage from the start just to keep it easy. And I want to, let's see, I don't want to control my character here. Here we're going to go forward. And then we'll get back to here. Here I want to be able to move my character again. So new skeleton notified, disable damage. It's perfect. And then we actually want to move our character as well. So we need another notifier for that. And I want to move my character there. So add notify, new notify, call it attack move. Perfect. So in your animation blueprint, attack move, got it here. Grab your reference to the player that we made before and call the function client attack move, which is this function that we just made. And grab your capsule component from your player, because that's the component that's going to be moved. And for the location and rotation, the easiest way to do this is to go into your viewport to your character, add an arrow. So I want my character to move here, So he's gonna teleport a bit forward when doing that attack animation. And let's call this stab arrow. You can do multiple of them for if you want to do different different lengths for different animations. There are other ways to do it as well. And this is just a super way to do it, easy way to do it. So I'm just gonna go with stab arrow for now, because the animation is a stabby animation. And from here, grab stab arrow, and I want to get its location and rotation. Since they are the same way as the character, we're just gonna go forward. Hopefully, if it works, we'll see. That's about it. Let's see if it works. Yep. Cool. As you can see. And you can also see on the, that's the server. Let's show it on the client. So this is obviously exaggerate. Oh, I'm not even doing the, that's weird. Didn't I do this one? It's not the right animation. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It's the right one on the server, obviously, but not on the client. That's because I haven't replicated the change. Maybe we could do like this. Maybe that's enough. Nope. It's not really agreeing with me. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so I'm back again. The purpose of this video was to not use multicasts, but in the end I don't really find a way to do it, so I'm just gonna multicast this instead. Because even when what I tried when I paused there was that I did this on the client and on the server, and then I found that I had to actually do it manually on the client and then do it manually on the server. So I needed to do this move component too on both the client and the server. And the only thing that happened was it wasn't replicated to that doesn't replicate it to the third client. So to be honest, I can't find a way to get around this. But I don't mind using multicasts. I think they are fine to use. I'm not using reliable right now, so that's probably how you want to do this, because if you're just gonna attack move, all clients don't need to know about it. But as you can see, it works fine for the clients that are here. So just make it a not reliable multicast. But now it's working. As you can see, we are moving. I realized that wasn't what I was doing before at all, but it lagged. What happened before was I did move before as well, but there was some lag on the client because the client and the server didn't agree on the location of the character. But now it's working. For the animation, I think that's what I was doing from the start. Sorry, I lose track easily. I don't know why that's not working, to be honest. It's because something I did in the animation blueprint, probably. Yeah. So it's not replicating the change, basically. It's not replicating the change of this one because its default is set to this attack animation, which is this one. But it's still calling the attack move function for some reason. So I have no idea why that's not changing. Maybe I'll do like this. Yep, that's working. I'm not entirely sure it's going to be replicated to all the clients. No, it's not. Okay, I'm not expert on this, but as I told you at the start of the video, you are gonna need to mix up like multicasts and rep notifiers and doing stuff on your animation blueprint. So as you can see, it's working on the client, but not on the second client. It's not replicating to the second client, the animation itself, but everything else is replicating. So it's 100% gonna work if we switch this over to a multicast instead. That's why multicasts are nice. So let's do this to run on server and this to a multicast. Then definitely it's gonna work. Client. Yep, as you can see, it's working perfectly. So yeah, that's why multicasts actually are nice, and so far I've not seen any performance drop on it. But yeah, you can switch. As I said, you're just gonna have to switch on. It doesn't need to be reliable in this case either. But yeah, you're just gonna have to switch to try out yourself. We got a bit far. And if this is the first video you're watching, feel free to watch my other videos if you're confused about everything I talk about multicast and stuff like that. Then I explain it a lot more in my other videos. So anyway, if you watched this far, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe the video, because I'm a super small YouTube channel. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any questions or whatever. Yeah, bye.